Hey, hello, sacred friend. I am Laurie Andrus, and I'm just popping in with a brief video. This morning, I'm thinking about creative process, creative cycles, creative rhythms. So many pieces, so many layers, so many facets to working with and moving with those cycles. And last night we wrapped up the Foundations of Ceremony 5-week class. And yesterday I also brought to close a whole bunch of jewelry pieces, fresh pieces that I had been working on. I put all the details together and wrapped everything up and then cleaned up my workspace. And this morning, as I was sitting in my daily reflection, I was thinking about all that came to one aspect of completion yesterday, like one bit of completion. Now, of course, there are bits of things that are unfold next, right? That they contribute to and are a part of. But I was thinking about mostly the cycle of creation where we are in the creative flow and rhythm, and we may feel a bit surrounded by creative chaos or mess or kind of like this upheaval sort of energy. So today I want to kind of speak to that a little bit, and I want to also speak to the energy of the creative cycle and how tapping in and tuning into it, getting to know how we live and work with it, really can be incredibly supportive in our lives. So this video today is really I want to specifically invite those of you who recognize yourself as creative spiritual individuals, individuals who already feel a sense of connection to your creative gifts and talents and abilities and the ways that you express yourself in the world. And if that's not you, don't worry, you can stay here and keep listening. There's definitely a lot to share. But the reason I want to just really invite forward those of you who identify as spiritual creatives is because you have this innate ability to tap in and create, to be a part of the creation energy here on the planet. And creation energy on the planet, that can look like a lot of different things. A lot. It can be the things that we create from art to music, to dance, to poetry, to written word, to so many other things. And it can also be what we're creating in the world as we bring our energy into the world. And I think the creative rhythms and cycles are really having a deep understanding of them, giving ourselves permission to begin to just step back and recognize some of that. I think it opens up space for us to actually move more freely and with more sovereignty in our creative rhythm. It opens up a window to many possibilities that we can't otherwise see. So I kind of made a little list here of some thoughts that came through. The first was that the more you come to know your cycles and rhythms, you'll know the creative cycles and rhythms, the easier it is to move with them. And you might be going, well, why is that important? I think one of the things that pops up when we don't understand that cycle, and when I say that cycle, I'm referring to the cycle being every creative project has an aspect of letting go, recognizing the emotional significance and value that it holds within ourselves, and allowing ourselves to nurture and nourish and develop the energetic alignment with it, and then shifting into the planting of the seeds and nurturing the seeds, allowing them to really grow in a sense of spaciousness, giving them their own space to grow, and then knowing when that cycle is complete and when to share. Now, this brings us through so many different arcs. There's many layers. This was one of the fun phrases that kept showing up in the Foundations of Ceremony class as we were working with ceremony as a pathway for connecting with the cycle of creation, for connecting with our own creative creation in our lives. What are we wanting to create and experience differently in our worlds? As we were tuning into that, there's just so many layers. And the more we come to recognize where one nurtures and nourishes and prepares us for the next, the more easily we move through that layer. And our own internal resistance, we're able to move with it rather than allow it to stop us. Yeah, I think very often we meet resistance when in life, and there are times when it stops us, and it can stop us for a very long time. And I feel like right now, with everything that's unfolding on the planet, this is a time for us to not be stopped by resistance, but rather to recognize the role that it's serving in allowing us an opportunity or space to break things down, or to shift our perspective, or to close a door to the past, or open a new door of possibility. The more that we recognize that, the more natural and with more ease we move through our experiences. The next piece that I took note on was around healing our judgments. And most of those judgments around some of those stages of the creative cycle aren't even our own. They're things that we've adopted from family members or society, or experiences that we had in school, times where we met with resistance and didn't know how to move through it, and the people in our lives just didn't have the tools or the ability to support us in moving through. The thing that the opportunity that we have right now is an opportunity to look at what are some of those judgments that we had around perhaps a messy phase, or the phase where everything is in complete disruption and it stays in that place for a period of time. What judgments have we held around that actually stop us from allowing that mess to go through its process and naturally clear? This is such a key part, in my opinion, of creative process. It's like when we do a bit of spring cleaning, we have to go through the closets and the cupboards and dig into the far-reaching corners and pull things out and allow a bit of a mess to happen so that we can create that freshness. Well, the same thing happens in our creative cycles. So when I dove into these last couple of weeks, both creating content for the Foundations of Ceremony class and simultaneously creating a bunch of amazing new pieces of jewelry, I dove in and my house became one big mess. A really big mess. And Chris and I, my husband, Chris and I, we just had this laugh, like this ongoing laugh. And he's seen the cycle long enough to know that it'll erupt in a big mess. I'll kind of take over an area of the house. And then when everything's complete, it all gets cleaned back up and put back away, and everything's in, this beautiful order again. But for a long time, I was uncomfortable with allowing my mess, my creative process to do that, to take over a space, and to really fully flow. I would shut it down and I'd hold it back because I was worried that he would be upset about it or uncomfortable. But that was my own story. It never had anything to do with him. It was my own projection, my own belief that he wouldn't be comfortable with it. It was a story I heard as a child, a story I heard in school. And I think a lot of us as creative individuals, especially spiritual creatives, we tend to be highly sensitive. We have had a lot of misunderstandings where people just like, or experiences where people just didn't fully understand us, understand our flow, and statements and judgments and things were made, and some of them we took on and we allowed ourselves to wear. And I think as we step back and we begin to see the big cycle of creation, we actually step out of some of those judgments and we can let them wash off and wash away. And we can create freedom to move forward and create with so much joy and so much ease and navigate the different emotions that show up within the process. The other piece is that as we begin to tap in and get to know some of the larger universal rhythms, we begin to align in natural ways with greater waves of momentum. Let yourself just really feel that. There are greater waves of creative momentum that move through this planet at different times. And that has to do with things that are happening astrologically. It has to do with seasons and cycles within the earth. It has to do with different cycles that move through our culture. And you can look at that from holidays to, seasonal celebrations, to birthdays, to so many other things. All of those pieces come into play. They weave into a greater universal cycle of creation, and they contribute to a greater momentum. When we discover where we kind of naturally and uniquely, because each one of us has a different way of kind of flowing in with that rhythm, or aligning or experiencing the universal rhythms. As we come to know how those flow for us, we sink into a momentum that is greater than ourselves, and it actually helps us. It's a support, it's an ally, it's a way of working with a natural flow rather than feeling like we're paddling upstream on our own. So those are some of the pieces that have been kind of drifting through my thoughts this morning, and I wanted to share with you because I do recognize that many of you are creative souls who have experienced the creative cycles in different ways, and I want to encourage you to really begin to tap into those cycles in new and meaningful ways. And if you're curious about ways to do that, spend a bit of time with me. I talk about this a lot. This is a theme I really enjoy sinking into. I do have a couple upcoming events, places where I track and tune into these creative cycles and rhythms. One is that I'll be doing a crystal forecast so those of you who are crystal lovers and really jam with the crystal vibes and are curious about which ones come forward as allies at different times. I do a forecast each year. On December 18th, I'll be doing the 2023 Crystal Forecast, and this is going to be a live Zoom reading. We'll tap in together and just sink into that experience. This is just a really rich, it's about a 90-minute call, and if you head over to my website, laurieandress.com /events, you'll find that on that page. Also on that page, you'll find my upcoming jewelry online show, and you will also find an invitation for a winter solstice gathering. This is my gift to you. One of the ways that I tune into and track and experience the collective and universal rhythms and cycles is by honoring and tuning into seasonal changes. So the winter solstice is on the 21st, and that gathering's at 6 p.m. Central Time. So you can learn more about that there as well. I'd love for you to join me. All right, so with that, I wish you an absolutely beautiful day. And as always, shine brightly, my friend. Bye for now.